Yo, like, subscribe, follow, giddy up.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Just laugh. Beat laugh.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
A little off topic on what we're going to get to, but Porzingis looked like he spent freaking 5 weeks in a tanning booth. If you're watching a little NBA TV right now and you're watching Mavericks Spurs, okay? Porzingis, I mean, he didn't have much time off. I mean, where'd you go? I mean, how much time did you spend on the beach? My goodness gracious, he looks red. Good for him. Got a little color, a little vitamin D. Maybe he'll stay healthy for once, Mavs fans. Listen, welcome in A2D Wednesday night, only on A2D Radio. Missing a lot of guys, but we're fine. Got four of us. Usually we got like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 27 guys on Wednesday night, and we had something big in store for a lot of people to be on the show. So we're really going to use the family to sort of determine on where we're going to go with this list that we'll get into in a minute here. But we're brought to you by the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. We know many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We're happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need help, please call 856-651-8117. Tom Arnone, Ryan Brotto, Michael Chromiak, Frank Vespi, no Eaton, no Greg Mockvick, no Nate Moss. I think it's Nate. I think it's Nate's birthday. So if it is, happy birthday, Nate. And no Ralph Del Vecchio. Oh my goodness! I mean, everybody. I mean, we got to start 5 of most out. We got four guys out of the lineup tonight. 4 guys out of the lineup.
I'm sorry, guys. You had to really settle for like the 12th guy on the bench here. I apologize in advance.
We went Paul Reed from the G League. I mean, we went to Paul Reed from the G League right now because he looks good in the G League, and we brought him up. So take it for what it is, fam. You got to deal with him tonight. Most beloved Philadelphia athletes or favorite, you can say it either way, since 2000. That's going to be the topic at hand. That's the main topic at hand. And that's going to tie right into our poll question brought to you by bodycheckwellness.com. Use promo code A2D. Get yourself 20% off at checkout. Body Check Wellness is a line of products to promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. Come in extracts, blends, gummies, topicals. Go check them out. Bodycheckwellness.com. Promo code A2D, 20% off. Our poll question: Allen Iverson is your favorite Phillies sports athlete since 2000. Agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. That's where you can find us live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Like, subscribe, follow, join the conversation tonight because there's 4 of us here, and most likely the family is going to determine this top 10 list. That's how it's going to end up probably looking like, when we go through it. And we're going to get right into it with number 1 and decide if that is number 1. Allen Iverson is your favorite Philly sports athlete since 2000. Agree or disagree? We're going to create a little top 10 list for everybody, and you guys are a part of it. So if we need tiebreakers, which most likely we will, or whatever voting comes in. Whatever voting comes in, and if it's 5-2, then that's the guy that goes next on the list. So it doesn't necessarily have to be what we all believe in. You guys have a lot of pull out there tonight. A lot of pull. So the poll, I agree. That's just that's me personally. That's, you go back to when Iverson got drafted here. It changed Sixers basketball for me. Okay? Right? Like when Charles got traded, there was nothing here after he got traded for a long time and a lot of slop. And when we finally were able to get Iverson, it changed it. All right? And then his game changed it. All right? And especially like that guy every night is going out and dropping you 30 plus and was a must watch. And when he got drafted, I'm talking about when I was 18, 19 years old, right? So you talk about that, or sorry, when he got drafted, I was 16, right? But 2001, that's my senior year. It's my senior year, right? So, talk about a year. And then his whole career, that's like not your prime years, but that's close to like prime years of watching, right? So to me, he's my favorite. I have a lot of favorites, but I would say he's number one, and I would say most people out there would probably have him on there. Now, I know there's going to be a big Eagles run through here, right? And the Eagles fans are going to tell me this is a diehard Eagles fans, and I'm a diehard Eagles fan, would tell me no. It's somebody else, and that's fine. I just don't have that person number one, because number one to me, favorite, changed the culture, okay? Changed basketball in a way, all right? If you really care about the game of basketball, we changed it. Like, you used to be able to go, they were allowed to put, back then, you were only man-to-man. You weren't allowed to go into a zone, okay? You weren't. They put a zone in the NBA to try to stop Allen Iverson. Like, the NBA put a zone in. That's almost like a 5-second violation on big men, right? Or, you know what I mean? On big men for Will Chamberlain. So you can't hang out in the paint. You got to get in and get it out, right? I mean, it's the same type of thing. You change the game of basketball, and not only like here in Philly. I mean, you were talking about a global impact Allen Iverson had on. There's no Philly sports athlete since 2000 that we can say that. Now, I know that's a little bit of a different argument, but that equals fanhood. That equals favorite, right? That all equals that in different ways to me. Like, there's no athlete in Philly history, me watching, that changed a game and changed a game that his stardom went global. There's nobody here in Philly that I can ever say that for. And there's a lot of fucking awesome athletes that I loved and still do, right? But I can never say that for. Like, I call Donovan my kid, right? Donovan was like my son, right? Or my brother, and Andy was our dads, right? Like, that's what I called it. Donovan. I loved Five, right? But nobody, I love Doc, but nobody like changed the game. And every time you tuned in for him, right? You tuned in for the Sixers, but you're tuned in for Iverson. It was the Iverson show here for years, right? Like, Doc didn't play offense, right? Other guys didn't play both sides. That's not a shot at these guys, right? But they, like, you know what I'm saying? But every time the Sixers played, Iverson, it was an Allen Iverson show for us. The Wells Fargo was jammed. He was a must-see attraction, okay? And listen, it brought basketball back, big time back into the city, which is a basketball city, right? It's an everything city, really. I never say, it's not one city or the other, but it's a big-time basketball city, huge basketball city. And I loved watching him play. I loved watching him compete. I know there was the extra stuff of the practice and all that stuff later on, but nobody laid it out there like he did when he played. Nobody, right? Nobody was that small going against the trees every night and laid it out there like he did. And his career could have went longer if he put like athletes do today. If he put $1 million a year into his body, he would have been able to play longer. His shelf life would have been longer, right? Still first ballot Hall of Famer without the shelf life being as long as it maybe could have been, of high caliber, without the injury starting to creep up and the wear and tear, right? But in time, listen, in an 8-year run, and even maybe 10, you can say, woo, that was fun basketball here. That was fun. We might not cut the nets down, right? Just like we didn't with some of our favorite Eagles athletes, right? We didn't cut the nets down, but it sure felt good watching it, didn't it? Sure felt good. Every night you knew you had a chance, and you had one of the best basketball players on the planet. And we have one today too. But it would be disrespectful for me to say Joel Embiid is more of a favorite to me than Allen Iverson was in terms of basketball, right? That'd be unfair and to me a slap in the face to Iverson. And I love me Joel Embiid. Love me. He's going to find his way on this list, I'm sure, somehow tonight. So what do you say out there, fam? Allen Iverson's your favorite Philly sports athlete since 2000. Agree or disagree? And what do you guys say? I know it's probably going to be just a split here, if not more. I might be the only guy sitting on this hill, and that's fine. That is completely okay.
Go ahead, Crum.
Well, taking the question from the context of my favorite Philadelphia athlete, I mean, I would agree in terms of is he the number one athlete since 2000? I would agree with that 1,000%. I have to disagree though, and I told a story last week about how I became a Sixers fan, and literally by the first time I saw Allen Iverson play live in my first NBA game, that he impacted me in a big way. But I can also make the same argument for somebody like Donovan McNabb, who I grew up a Dolphins fan, a Marino fan, but I liked McNabb in college. When he got drafted and he was with the Eagles, and then I finally got to see him step on the field, I instantly became, without a question, a Philadelphia Eagles fan for life. But when I look at this and I look at the context of the question, for me, I have to look at somebody that, to me, never made me feel like there was anything controversial, never made me second guess how I felt about them. Somebody that, to me, embodies the city, embodies leadership. What's that?
Want to tell you that?
Dude, tell me what?
Want to tell you that?
No.
You don't even get that reference, then you're never an out. Then you're not. If nobody understood that reference, and you're not.
No.
Yeah, yes. That's one of the biggest. Are you kidding me? To want to tell you that? That's one of the biggest quotes from Mama AI through the whole process of Allen Iverson.
I said it took me a minute to realize that, and I'm saying no, she didn't tell me that.
Then it's that.
Gotcha.
It's practice. Then it's to want to tell you that. Yeah. When the gun, remember the gun.
Oh yeah.
And all that, yeah.
Oh, I mean, his mom was the most visible person at Sixers games, hands down. It was her and the big guy who used to take his shirt off every game. They were the two most visible people in the arena. But listen, for me, I look at a guy that there was never a question, never a doubt, never anything that he did or anything that he said that I questioned how I felt about him. And there was a longevity of 8 years within the 2000, from 2000 on. And he was here before then, and it's Brian Dawkins. To me, Brian Dawkins is everything Philadelphia, and he continues to be. His leadership, his conviction when he speaks, the way he performed on the field, you never question an effort. And I know that Allen Iverson, you never questioned his effort. 5, sometimes you could. I mean, I never did, but I could see why some people would. But there was just something about Brian Dawkins. He's such a magnetic figure. And, like, I always think to myself, right, like, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of these athletes, but I never had the chance to meet Dawkins. And I don't really get like starstruck or any of that, but I've always felt like if I met Brian Dawkins, if there's anything as close to Philadelphia royalty, he would be it. So for me, in terms of the question, my favorite Philadelphia athlete of the 2000s, there's not anybody that comes close to Brian Dawkins. Although you're right, Tom, there is a gentleman right now playing for the 10-9-8 who has a real good chance at taking over that throne. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, without question, for me, it is Brian Dawkins.
No, it's not unfair, to have Dawkins as somebody's one. To me, it's just, it's just a little bit different. That's all. Like Dawkins was a must watch. I don't disagree with any of that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you were comparing Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer too. You know what I mean? So it's
apples.
You're right. Exactly. You're absolutely right.
What do you like better? Fruit? What do you like better to crunch on? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm sure, like, I would honestly be surprised if this is on anybody's list, this guy. By no means do I believe he's going to be or should be on, like, the all-time, like, most beloved list. This guy, I mean, I don't even know if we'll crack the top 10, but to me, it's not even a question. My favorite Philly athlete since 2000 is Ryan Howard. Without a question, he is. Because if you talk about, like you were saying, Tom, with the age group that we were in, what we were in with Iverson, for me, I was, 13, 14 years old during that Phillies run. And I know this is always a debate amongst Phillies fans even to this day, but, of who was the most important to that run. Was it Utley, Rollins, Hamels? To me, it was always Ryan Howard. When I go back and think of that run, when I think of, like you talk about, like with a lot of different athletes around the city or just around sports, a ball club carrier, that was Ryan Howard to me. He will always be that face of the first Philadelphia championship I was ever alive to see, in person. So to me, I'll make it real short and sweet. I know it's probably, I'm in the very, very vast, minority saying that Ryan Howard is my one. Because I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of Ryan Howard because they talk about the strikeouts and everything. But when you talk about something being symbolic, his injury in 2011, it was almost symbolic of the end of that run. You know what I'm saying? It's like that was kind of the final chapter. It's like once he went down, the quote-unquote dynasty and the long run of championships and great teams for the Phillies, it kind of ended right there. And as we're sitting here today, it really hasn't even gotten close to being anywhere close to that since.
No.
So to me, that team went along as he went along. If he was doing great, the team was doing great. If he was struggling, the team was struggling. So to me, it's Ryan Howard 100% of the time for me on this list.
Well, I mean, Ryan Howard is one of my top 5 favorites, if not 3. So, I mean, you're not going to get any argument with me for Ryan Howard.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Ryan Howard, one of the most underappreciated players in this city now, too.
I agree.
We'll talk about defending people. We'll talk about defending people. I mean, I spent a bulk load of my Phillies baseball life watching. Feel like I defended Ryan Howard, and was one of the few people who would that actually understood his impact. You know, and then you know, it really comes to light after it's all said and done. But I mean, come on. I mean, there wasn't. You know, you try to think of all the guys you watch play. You know, that was like, you know, that true power hitter that we sort of had for a little run with Tommy, but didn't really have for a long period of time here. And listen, like he's part that whole team deserves, you know, all 3 of them guys that, you know, came up together per se, or 4 if you want to count Cole too. Like they're all like right in that spot for me too. I mean, they're all right there. I don't like the, you know, I used to like say, well, if it wasn't for this guy, we don't do it. But in reality, if it wasn't for any of them 3 or 4 guys, right, the 3 that are everydayers, if it wasn't for those 3 everydayers, we're not even having a conversation about one or the other, right? You know what I mean? We're not having a conversation about parades, is what I'm talking about, and winning 100 games and beating up everybody, because it really was all 3 of them. Like a lot of them, the only one who never got crucified was Utley. Like Rollins took a lot of fucking heat. Jimmy Rollins is a carrier too. I mean, I hate to inform the public, but Jimmy Rollins helped carry his baseball team a shit ton. Ryan Howard carried him too, and Utley carried him. Nobody would ever debate that either. They all carried each other. They all helped each other. I think they all fed off each other. But Howard was always my favorite out of them, and Jimmy was the bravado. You know, and if you loved bravado, you loved the thing Jimmy said, because at the end of the day, Jimmy always backed up his talk. And we say a lot of shit about players on social media today. Jimmy talked it and went back to the F up too. Just a news flash for the public. Frank, what do you say? So I love that one, Ryan.
Real quick, too.
I love yours as well. So it's not like, you know.
Real quick before Frank goes too, the thing about Ryan Howard, and this is coming from a non-Phillies fan. I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say about 2011. When you look at the 5-year break, I didn't say anything. When you look at the 5-year break, right, of Ryan Howard in that prime years before the Achilles injury, Ryan Howard put up historic numbers. You're talking home runs. I mean, there was nobody in the league
most
that was putting up. Absolutely. It was him.
Yeah.
It was him and Pujols. There was nobody that came close to those 2 guys. And when you look at, you have to think too, back in 2011, it doesn't seem that long ago, but 10 years ago, it's almost like the Tommy John thing, right? Now these guys get it. It's like everybody gets it and it's fine. There was a time where you got that injury and your career was done.
Yeah.
Back then, when you talked about rehabbing from an Achilles injury, guys were never the same then. And Ryan Howard, because of that injury, was never the same. You don't know what he could have produced after that fact.
Well, you know,
what look at him
comes from your lower half, right? Yeah. It comes from your lower half. Like driving baseball comes from your lower half. Like
that's why it's so devastating to baseball players, even pitchers who generate all their power from their legs. When you look at him and Ryan Howard and what he did, man, I agree with you guys. I don't care what Cole did or any of them, and it's no disrespect to them, but without Ryan Howard being that feared hitter in that lineup, they don't win in 2008. They don't win 102 games in 2011. They don't go on that run in that window between then. Ryan Howard was the game changer for them for that 5-year window.
No,
people never give him the respect he deserves, and it's a shame.
They don't win it without the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'll run from that. Like, that's the three of them. And then listen, they might not win in 08. Jason Worth lightning in a bottle came out of like, you know what I mean? Like, guys became real good players, and I think a lot had to do with them three too. Like, and Charlie. Like, there was a lot of when you win titles, that's what happens. So like that's why I'll give guys credit they deserve. And when you talk about that run, you're right. In that playoffs, he's the type of guy who did it in Colorado. He said, "Get me to the plate, it's over." Right? Get me to the plate, it's over. I just got chills thinking about that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Get me to the plate, it's over. So
well, and I'll just say really quick, Chrome. There'll be some time shortly, in the next handful of months, to where we'll have that discussion on like the most disrespected Philadelphia athletes in a long time, and I promise you, Howard's at the top of that list. I don't know if he's one, but he's definitely up there.
Two guys, and I'm sure the other one's going to come up, so I'll hold off on that name. But there's two guys in my mind that are hands down three now. One just left the city. Three of the most disrespected professional athletes in the city. 1, 2, and 3 are clear to me.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Frank?
So Ryan disagreed. Chrome disagrees. Tom agrees. We're going to go down the middle, split it up. I agree to the poll as well that AI is one of my most beloved athletes since 2000. So before this shutdown happened, Ryan, Ralph, Noah, and I, we did this topic in the form of a bracket, and I don't remember who everybody else picked, but I remember that I had AI as the winner of my bracket. AI did a lot of things for the NBA. He ushered in this brand new era after Jordan, where the league started to embrace hip hop. I mean, remember the rap career he had, where David Stern was sweating over that 40 bars song. It was that, it was something embroiled in controversy. And, we're from freaking Philly. We love controversy. Controversy, we live and breathe it. This guy was always outspoken in the media, his practice rants, his frustrations with Larry Brown, and he represented a lot for this city. And, we love a good underdog story, coming from the 757, he had the issue with the bowling alley, and, he worked his way up to become the number 1 overall draft pick, an MVP in the early 2000s, possibly one of the best point guards we've seen in this league. So for me, I agree to the poll. I hope the rest of this list is going to be interesting. This is going to be a fun topic. So, you know what? Let's get to this list. I'm excited.
Don says B-Dog, AI, Lindros, Utley, McNabb. So, I mean, I guess who would we say came out with this? Because you see a lot of people have a lot of different stuff. I mean, I see, Markey got AI. I think I forget what Steven's first one was. I know his second pick was AI. Other guys got Chase Utley. John adds Barkley.
But then he blames the list starting in 2000, so he can't really count Chuck.
I just saw the third most disrespected athlete in this city, and that was Claude Giroux.
Yeah, there's a long list, Chrome. There's a long list.
That'll be a fun conversation one day, but that would be my top 3 hands down. Not even close.
I don't know. So I don't know what we would.
Fam, so I would say the most consistent name I've seen.
Shout out from somebody from Portugal. What's up?
Yeah,
appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you're pounding that like.
Subscribing. I would say at the beginning of the show, Tom, when you were describing Allen Iverson, there were a ton of agrees, and I would just say universally, I would say it's Allen Iverson universally.
I don't know that he would be the favorite. I think he would be the top athlete if you're going by just body of work and excitement he created. But he is a very polarizing figure, so I think he would be more split than you would think.
All right, so fam, in the chat, obviously, there's a delay on the chat, so I'll wait a couple seconds, but give us your vote, your official vote for the number 1 most beloved athlete since 2000 in Philadelphia. No, none before. So like AK Eagles, Reggie White.
Yeah, it's no Reggie White.
Only since
no
2000.
Charles Barkley.
I tell you what, man. I'll tell you, John, that's one that I'm going to be probably having in John dropping in Embiid already. Talk to me in 2 years. I might be right on that boat with you.
right now I think it's between Iverson and Dawkins.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't see another name coming in and winning it. And I love Embiid, right? Like absolutely love Embiid. And I might try to sneak him in my top 5 here, right? I might try to sneak him in my top 5 because that's how much I love him.
Well, I have an idea for my list. What I think the list might happen is we're probably going to see a lot of Phillies, Sixers, and Eagles, and probably one Flyer on the list. And that's just me.
Murph, stick to it. Which one? I know you already gave yours.
I'll tell you.
So you got to pick it. Mads, Dr. J doesn't work. 2000's up. 2000's up.
Maybe it's Dr. Joel Hans Embiid.
Here's another Dawkins. I mean, everybody's sort of got either AI1, Dawkins 2.
It's like 50-50. Yeah, it is hard. AK Eagles.
See,
I think we know whoever's not getting 1, we know who's getting 2. You know what I'm saying? Like we figured out 1 and 2 very easily.
How do you think? Yeah. I think we shit. I don't know. It's just me. I think we shit on AI if he's not number 1.
I agree.
I think it's
he did it by himself. He got to a finals by himself. For God's sakes.
Come on. He was all by himself. Yeah, he's right. He's all by himself. He made tons of people play basketball. How many people went and played football because of the dog? More than already did.
Yeah,
how many young kids bought Iversons? I had mine.
I had mine too.
Here's one thing. Does Brian Dawkins have a song written by Post Malone?
Listen, I don't know if he has a song by Post
Malone. You never heard of White Iverson?
No.
Oh, come on.
But what I will say here, Tom, to kind of throw another little wrench into here, though, in this city, this is a football city first. Sixers are huge. No question about it, but it is a football city first, which is why I feel like a Brian Dawkins will ultimately fall more at the number 1 spot than an Allen Iverson would more often.
Maybe. What else, Spells?
And that's why I don't think it's necessarily shitting on him. Like, I would definitely think he would be number 2. For me, he would be number 2. But you're talking about a favorites list, not the number 1 guy, because I don't think there's any question he would be number 1 athlete. But when you're talking about a favorites list, I think you're absolutely more likely going to get more Brian Dawkins.
I'm just saying my official vote is somebody who didn't pick either of them. I picked Howard. My official vote, I'm voting Iverson.
I love Doc, but I love Doc. I just don't. I don't have one. I don't even have. Listen, I'm different. Like, and everybody's gonna have different lists. I have Doc. I have Doc in my top 5, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't have him 2 on my list of my favorites. My personal favorites. I have him. I have how. If you want, I don't know if you guys want to go number 2 yet. You know what I mean? Because mine's definitely not winning 2, just like Ryan's wasn't going to win 1.
Well, I think it's fair to say, right? The chat seems to be split down the middle, but in terms of our voting, I'm the only one that has Dawkins. You guys all have Iverson out of those 2, so I would put Iverson 1 on our list.
I'll take him in number 1.
It's pretty clear that it's pretty split through the chat, and that's probably going to depend on the 2 if you're more of a basketball fan or a football fan. We have everybody here.
We got people asking for why not have a tie, but.
There's
no ties. It's not participation trophies.
No, there's no ties. This isn't the 2007 NHL. We don't do ties.
Chris, I think both guys are Philadelphia. I don't think it's unfair to say like one guy's Philly and one guy's not. I mean, Iverson's absolutely Philadelphia.
Yeah, and
like, come on, you know what I mean? They're both Philadelphia,
and both are still very present within the organization well after their careers are done. So I think that argument is a moot point.
Yeah, the great part is experience both at the same time. So, okay, Iverson won.
It was a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan. That's for damn sure.
We can all give our number 2s, but I think we know who number 2 is. The consensus, like we can all go through our number 2s, but the number 2 is Dawkins, obviously.
Yeah,
all the votes he got for 1. So Dawkins would be 2. We have her 1. We'll still give her 2. Mine personally was Howard. For all things Rye said, like carrier. I loved watching him play. He's just one of my favorites. So. I'll go Howard too, and I know people. My third one's is a guy who's a lightning around here too. But go ahead, give me guys your second one, and then we'll get on to the third one quickly. and get through this list a little faster.
Keep it simple. Mine would have been Iverson. That's simple enough.
Done.
Mine would have been Utley.
Okay.
Mine would be Brian Dawkins.
Okay. So you're right there. You know what I mean? They caught you right by. You know what I mean? You're right on there. Look at the guy. Right on there.
Kwame. Oh my God.
My third is Donovan. That's my third.
Ooh, okay.
I'm with you, Dad.
My third, he changed. Listen, people don't understand this. The critical assholes don't understand this. This dude, we thought about Iverson changing the culture. We thought about the importance of Howard, etc. Right? This dude changed Eagles football. He's a big part of the change of Eagles football. They always feel like you're in everything. When Donovan first came up and Donovan used his legs, Donovan was fucking electric. Electric.
Absolutely.
Everybody seems to forget that. They tried to make him into more of a pocket guy. I get all that. Oh, the duck farts into the ground, whatever people wanted to say. I get it. Listen, he won a lot of football games in this city and got a lot of heat winning football games, right? Got a lot of heat because he could never get over the hump, right? And I get it. I get that side of it. But I would take Donovan McNabb in an Eagles uniform right now. If I could draft it, if I could pick him in the draft, I would take him. You know what I mean? If I could get him at 6 by Jalen, you know what I mean? If Jalen Hurts could be half the player, 90% of the type of player Donovan is, we would take
75%.
Take that. So that's my third. I love Donovan and I love what he did here.
And I'll piggyback off of that because I agree with you and Ryan can attest to this. Back when we did a studio show, we did a whole segment on how the Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb, and at the time I said Jeffrey Lurie was included in this. I retract that name now, but how that trio changed the culture of Philadelphia Eagles football. We're fortunate because we didn't have to wait those years and years and years. There was decades, generations who waited to watch successful football. I mean, there were 20 years in between, I think, 9-win seasons at one point for the Philadelphia Eagles franchise. And, you had good years with Buddy, but you talk about teams that couldn't get over the hump. Talk about those Buddy Ryan teams, and everybody loves everybody. Randall and Jaworski, love all those guys. But you talk about teams that could never they couldn't even get out of the first round of the playoffs. And you look at Donovan and you look at that tandem with Andy Reid, how perfect that was, and changed the culture of Philadelphia Eagles football to where now we can expect better. Expect better. Not ask for it, not beg for it. Expect better than including what we're starting to see now. To me, it's without question. You're right, Tom. I mean, people forget that in 2002, right? Donovan, we didn't always get over the hump, obviously, with Donovan. But 2002, he carried us with his play, especially with his legs. We were a year early in where we were supposed to be at and carried us to an NFC championship game against the greatest show on turf, one of the greatest teams ever assembled.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They were in that game. They had a chance to win that. And people forget about that. And then I fast forward to the NFC Championship game against Arizona. The defense, the revered defenses that we had is what let that team down. We came this close to coming back in the second half. And do you want to know why? Because of the play of Donovan McNabb in that second half. So everybody wants to say Donovan never got us over the hump. It wasn't always Donovan's fault. The first one, he's the reason we were there to begin with to even have the conversation. The last one, he's the reason we even had a sniff of it to have a chance. He's another guy, never gets the credit in this city that he deserves. And to me, like you said, Tom, I always felt like there was never a time I felt like we couldn't win a football game for a decade, for a freaking decade. You know how hard that is? You know how many people who are fans of other teams that would give up their freaking kids for that? It's insane. And again, we can't have nice things and we don't appreciate it here. And that's why I think a lot of people wouldn't have him there. But take a step back and really look at the man's career. Put it in perspective and look at the franchise, what it was beforehand and then after. Donovan McNabb, hands down, number 3 for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Listen, everybody on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go.
To me, I'll make it simple. So I had Howard 1, Utley 2. I have Iverson 3 here.
Yep. Which is
Frank.
All right, for my number 3, I'm going to go with Chase Utley for my number 3. I mean, you got to factor in that world famous World Series speech, world bleeping champions. I remember watching that speech live on TV, and that was probably the greatest thing I've ever seen on a screen. A World Series parade, Chase Utley dropping the F-bomb on live TV, probably the coolest thing ever. You know, that 2008 World Series team, that kickstarted a lot of memories for me, you know. I mean, I remember going to games, seeing that core of Utley, Jimmy, Ryan, all together with my best friends from high school. I miss seeing them, but you know, Chase Utley, you are the man. Truly amazing player. You know, him leaving Philadelphia, you know, that I remember when he got traded, it hurt.
What would you guys say should be the universal number 3?
It's tough.
See a lot of Utley in here. I see a lot of Donovan. People talking Drew in here. Fam, who do you think should be 3?
I think it's
common sense Eagles fans and the common sensors out there, the ones that have a feel for life, would say 5. I think anybody that doesn't have a feel for life would put not saying put Utley over him. I'm saying like they would understand like how much there is people that really loved him. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. Like the majority of Eagles fans really love 5. I know there's people out there that don't, but I mean it's between. I guess it's safe to say it would be between Utley and Donovan right here. Too. I mean it's right there. I guess. Wires get love, man.
Here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
I mean,
oh, woe is me. Notice me.
Listen, there will be. There's no question that there will be a flyer on the list.
Yeah.
Probably just one, but there will be a flyer on the list.
Yep.
And I'm just going to put this out there now. Don't expect Eric Lindros to be on this list. He was in the 2000s. He was only here till 01, and the last 2 years he was here, he barely played. He was hurt. Yeah. So I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, ain't no way Eric Lindros is going to be on this list for 2000s.
Yeah, go 5.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Go 5, and I think I think it's safe to say Utley's 4.
Yep.
On our big board, I think it's almost safe to say Utley's almost 4 from what we've gathered here. There's a lot of votes for him in the 3 hole there. Yeah, I
personally don't have
our favorite, Bobby. It's our favorites. It's our favorites. That's the thing, Bob. It's our favorites. Like, you know what I mean? There's not enough. There's not enough Flyers love coming in there. It's just because there isn't
not enough success. There's a lot of success with the other teams that we're talking about. Faces of success are going to be remembered more.
There's championships. There's title games.
Mm-hmm.
My fourth would be Jimmy Rollins.
Same with me.
Man, we are rolling together because I am exactly the same.
I think my top 5, I mean, is probably going to be the same thing. Mine's in a little bit of a different order. I have McNabb at 4 and Jimmy at 5.
And I also have Jimmy at 4, Tom.
So right now our 3 are Iverson, Dawkins, McNabb, Utley. There's our 4. Sorry, there's our 4. Right? So we already have Utley 4. But we have a bunch of Rollins 4s on our board. Mm-hmm. So it almost puts Jimmy in the 5 hole.
Yeah. I mean, there 3 of us on screen. The fact that we all have Rollins, I mean, that's there's got to be a rush of names from the fam being like, oh, it's all this one guy, but it's I don't see that happening.
So I mean, I have it. I personally have Jimmy 4, Utley at 5. I would say ask the fam, of those 2 guys, who do you rank above the other? Do you have Jimmy above Utley or Utley above Jimmy? And then figure it out that way. Because it seems like we pretty much have around the same.
I personally think, universally, knowing how the fans talked about players.
Oh, I mean, nobody ever said a bad word about Chase.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a constant love affair. Jimmy had the stuff where he wasn't running to first base, he was benched. All you know what I'm saying? Like he had some stuff.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's 5 though.
Yeah,
I had Jimmy at 5 in my list.
Agreed.
Let's see, number 5.
Lots of Jimmys.
So where are we at on our list? We're at
6.
We jump.
Now, I this is going to be low for some people. No, I'm sorry. I have Donovan. In here.
Wow.
Yeah, he's low. But again, I have like the entire Phillies team is my top 5. You know what I'm saying? Like all Phillies guys and Iverson. So the Eagles guys got pushed a little bit.
At 6, I have Claude Giroux.
You'll make the Flyers fans very happy, Crum.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think he's a very underappreciated guy. And when you look at the numbers that he's actually put up over his career, he's had a pretty phenomenal career on very mediocre, some teams that were very mediocre in their assembly. And I think that you have to take that into consideration. His numbers aren't incredibly far off from Eric Lindros, who was a premier player in the league at a time where that team was well built and well orchestrated and should have won a championship in '97. When I look at Giroux, and you have to look to it, his durability over his career, I can't put everybody from one team, at this point. I personally would have Giroux here at number 6.
Tom, there's a certain name that is appeared out of nowhere that is getting.
Is it Zach LaVine?
No, it's a name.
Not yet.
It's honestly a name that you can make a case for right here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make a case for it. And I was thinking about making a case for it because when you can reflect now a little bit, you know what I mean? But now this is favorite. So too, this is favorite, which I know, he'll get a lot of love, but I think he's a little, I think 6 is a little high for him right now.
I agree.
Agreed.
I think there's some room.
He'll be in top 10, I think.
Yeah.
6 is too high.
Yeah, I think 6 is too high.
And again, I believe that the reason why 6 is too high, it's not because of Nick, but it's because of all the extra afterwards. It's like a dark cloud that goes over it. And it's not his fault. So it's like the biggest fans of Foles kind of ruins the mystique of Foles in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would say, though, to argue against that, and Tom has said this a million times, how many athletes in this city could leave their kid in the middle of Broad Street unattended and have everybody in this city protect that kid as if it's their own? There's not a lot. Not a lot. And he, in that argument, he might be up in the top 2, maybe 3. Maybe it might even be 1 to a lot of people in that argument. I wouldn't have him this high, but I could see people having him at this level for that pure thing alone. We're talking about favorites, loved athletes. There's not many more since 2000 since Nick Foles.
Yeah, 6 for me in this spot would be Joel. would be Joel. This is where I think you're allowed to go that route. That's me. I mean, to me, that's me. This I love. There's not enough I can say. I like the bravado, right? I love the toughness. Okay, I like all the. I like him taking shots. I love the troll he is. Right, I love it all. I truly do. There's nothing I don't like about Joel Embiid, really, and he's a must watch. Joel Embiid is a must watch to me. Right? There's not many guys that are like must watch. Like I turn on to watch Joel Embiid go to work. I want to watch Joel Embiid do things that 7-footers can't do. Right? Like that's what I love to watch too. And just everything that comes with him to me is why I would put him here. Now, I would see why he's not. I don't understand that there's other people in front of him, but that's just me. That's where I would put him.
Tom, my question, and I have zero problem with that, by the way. Where did you have Dawkins?
Well, I just took him. I'm just going in and now because we all skipped the pick.
Gotcha. Because I was going to ask you, do you have Joel over Dawkins?
No.
For you. Okay.
No. Because if you think about it, I would have put Dawkins in the top 5 and then probably moved. I wouldn't have Utley in my top 5. Utley would have been like 6 to me, realistically, right? So in mine.
Gotcha.
We all skipped a pick in a way.
Yeah.
So I just now added Joel into where I would slate him around 6, 7 to me. I think because we would be on pick 6 ourselves now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where I slate him. No, I don't have. Dawkins is more loved to me than Joel, but Joel's just right behind him. You know what I mean?
Joel's such an interesting name to bring up, though, Tom, because I have no problem with it either. But that said, it's so crazy how time can change, right? Like a year ago, you had half of the city saying, "Trade him, keep Ben, we can get through it." It's so bizarre, but you look at him now, and I mean, success breeds that kind of love. You look at him now, and you're absolutely spot on with his skill set, and the things that you see are so special. And it's very rare that there's a love affair with a player the way this city loves Joel Embiid now. And again, I'll take it even a layer further, Tom. How many guys stay in the city in the offseason? How many guys go to the local park and play pickup games with guys? And go out there and make themselves present in the city in the off season. Not many. When the season's done, they pack up their shit and they go to hunt or they go do whatever they're going to do for the next, 6, 7 months or 5 months before, you got to start prepping for the next season. And the love affair for Joe and the way he has embraced and made Philadelphia his home is so rare and special that I have absolutely no issue with him being there. I have him at 7, so I'm not far off from you either.
See, for my number 6, I'm going with the big piece, Ryan Howard. And Joel is at 7. And I think with me, like with Ryan Howard, I think I probably have more of a personal connection with Ryan Howard. Meeting him at the Philly airport one day, that was pretty awesome when he's seen that happen. And by the way, he's opening up a cool restaurant nearby, so I'm gonna try to find him at this new restaurant he's opening at.
Sandwiches, I seen that.
Yeah, Colby's Southern Kiss Chicken on Route 38 in Mount Holly.
Eat them sandwiches.
Not an advertisement, but that's what they're gonna do. That's what he's doing.
So, what should we have here as the universal 6?
I mean, we all had somebody different, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we might have to leave this one up to the fam. So just to recap, so they know who we said. I had Abreu. Frank, you had Ryan Howard. Tom had Embiid. And Ryan, who did you have again?
Donovan.
Donovan, who's already on the list. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the names we had. Let's see who everybody else has.
It should be between. I mean, it should be, I guess, between them two guys too, Abreu and Embiid.
Yeah,
I would say so.
Yeah, Abreu, Embiid, and Foles, but Foles probably, like we said, a little bit later. Wow, a lot of Embiid. Embiid.
And we got Torrey in the Ryan Howard camp. Woo!
Well, we haven't put Howard on this list yet.
Oh, God. I didn't just realize that. Yeah, that's my vote's Howard, by the way. I mean, I haven't won, but you know what I'm saying. I think Howard should be 6. But I won't be surprised if he's not, because I know some people are, like we said, disrespectful.
Yeah, I got Howard a little bit lower.
Got a Joel, we got a Abreu, we got a Foles,
and we got a complaint from Sean Spellman about no guys from the Union. Look, I would love to put Danny Mwanga on the list, but no.
I couldn't even tell you anybody on the
I
Union.
don't.
No.
I couldn't
Danny
even.
Mwanga, Carlos Ruiz,
The catcher,
like the catcher, Carlos Ruiz.
Oh no, a totally different player named Carlos.
He's playing
Ruiz.
football now.
Yeah,
We go 3 on this list.
It would be 3 straight Phillies.
I mean, listen, that 2008 team is something a lot of people love, so it doesn't shock me.
Iggy who? Iguodala? Calvin? No.
Oh, I mean, I love Iggy, but he wouldn't even get a sniff of the top 10.
Not getting the top 30.
And I'm an Iggy guy. I've always been
He
an
might
Iggy guy, but
he might be too high.
As far as the universal, probably.
Could be.
who's that?
Donovan.
Donovan.
Because a lot of people. He's one of those, polarizing guys.
Yeah. Especially in recent years, he's becoming more polarizing.
But the question is, honestly, guys, how many people in this city are not polarizing? This city loves to split everybody down the middle. That's why I said, like, you look at Brian Dawkins.
Well,
Brian Dawkins is an athlete, and Chase Utley. And Cole Hamels. They're the three athletes that I look at, and maybe even throw in Doc, are the probably four athletes that I look at, and I say, I don't really remember a time anybody was ever split on them. They were always loved.
But see, that's my point, Chrome. That's why I believe universally it should be Iverson, Dawkins, Utley. 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
McNabb should not be over Utley, in my opinion.
Well, listen, I mean, as this goes along, we can always shift names around as we go.
Oh, yeah, Jeremiah Donovan's definitely top 10. It's just top 3 is tough.
But when we put his name on there, we were getting a ton of Donovan love in the chat. So now we're getting the other half of the people are tuning in, which, by the way, if you are, pound the likes. All right, get over there, subscribe, whatever you're doing, and drop in your comments. Let us know what you guys think. Help us vote. You know, the case was pretty obvious for Donovan to be there early in the chat, but now the other people are coming in, so maybe it is time. You know, this isn't set in stone yet until we get through the whole list. So
Giroux 6.
Flyers Nation would be very happy. You know, I could make the argument with you guys, or I could make the case. Maybe I wouldn't drop him out of the top 5, but I would maybe drop Donovan below Utley and put Utley 3 and Donovan 4. I mean, there's nobody that ever says a bad thing about Utley. No, and people love him. You know, I don't think he was the best player.
When he was playing for the Dodgers, he got a standing ovation when he hit a friggin' home run.
Yeah, like I don't think he's the best player of those teams, but I think universally, even more than Cole, he seems to be the most hands down loved by everybody.
So do you want me to officially switch McNabb and Utley? Flip them?
I would vote that. See what these gentlemen want to do.
Tom?
I forgot where to point.
Well, if that's the case, then Howard needs to go 6.
I also agree.
And in my list, I had Utley 3, McNabb 4, Jimmy 5, Howard 6.
Go Giroux 7 then.
Utley 4,
right?
McNabb.
So do it like that.
Victoria, you even know what hockey is? I've never heard you say anything about the Flyers. Of course you would pick Howard over.
Who do you want 5, Tom? After McNabb? Howard?
Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy, then Howard?
Yeah, Jimmy, then Howard.
Okay. Jimmy 6.
See, then I would make the argument that Cole Hamels should be.
Yeah, he's right here, bro.
This is where I was gonna say that's next up. He's there. He's right there for me.
I'm like a rogue agent right now. I'm rogue. I've gone rogue. Like I never had a list in front of me anyway because I've been rogue this entire time. But now I'm even more rogue because I'm not even like reading off a top 10. I'm just saying who should be where now.
We're just dropping names at this point.
Now it's got to be. We're on 8.
It has to be him.
To me, it has to be. I don't know because there's so many. Like
Hamels or Foles. That's tough. Or Embiid.
Or Doc.
I would say no to Doc just because of the championship thing. Hamels was our ace for the championship.
But I'm saying within the top 10, there's an argument with what we have left that's the 3 names. Right? That's 3 names to go.
Hamels, Foles, Embiid, Halliday. One of those 4 is not making the list.
Well, sorry, Embiid's over Giroux. Yes.
Yeah, I have Embiid over Giroux. I have Embiid 7, Giroux 8.
Sorry, G. Sorry, Flyers Nation.
Giroux was 6 a second ago. Now he's dropping.
I'm sorry, Claude. Claude, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to make the case for you, buddy.
Go win a fucking chip, and then you can make the case.
Show up in the playoffs.
Playoff Giroux needs to happen, please.
Listen, he played well in the playoffs a few years ago. Not great last year.
Not great, Chrome. Was he even there? Did he leave the bubble?
I think number 9 going to get some heat, but I think it's Deshaun Jackson.
No.
No.
I know more people who dislike him, and I actually think his second stint here
Ruined
did him an injustice. It might have ruined him.
The second
ruined.
tenure. Yeah,
He's ruined now.
You're right, because that's why I don't like bringing guys back. Because if you never brought him back, this is the guy who maybe breaks the top 10 list as favorites. Not the best. This isn't the best list. This is favorite list, right? You got like the big difference from best and favorites. If he never came back, then you're right. Coming back ruins it because I hate him now. But I just know there's a love affair, and the love affair is from previous stuff.
I will say this, and I'm willing to go to war against Flyers Nation.
No, Don.
On no planet for me, on no planet does Giroux go over Hamels, Foles, and Halliday. On no planet. Like, that doesn't even seem right to me, that Giroux makes the list, but one of Foles, Hamels, and Halliday doesn't. It just doesn't. I understand it's like,
I get it.
The Flyers, but it just doesn't look right to me. It bothers me, actually.
But to me, when I look at guys, right, and I look at a team, and you're telling me a guy's like the sixth favorite guy on a team, to me that devalues how much that they're loved in terms of that. I think you have to show respect to the Flyers fan base and a guy who's the most loved from that. And that's that's an argument there. Also, by the way, I could put a Jason Kelsey on this list into consideration.
I did have, in my consideration for 9, 10, and on the outside looking in, it was down to Cole Hamels, Ben Simmons, and Jason Kelsey on this list.
I completely disagree with you, Sean, though. I completely disagree with you. I mean, one guy was doing push-ups in a driveway and got out of here real quick, and for whatever reason. So no, I don't. Your little 1.5 year run, which was glorious, and we were all yelling "T.O." The way it ended, I don't. His ended way worse than Deshaun coming back and not playing. You know what I mean? His ended way worse than that. So whoever you want to put that on, and he hasn't shut up about the situation, and the guy's fucking 50. So I mean. I'm over.
16 years later, and we're still hearing about it.
Yeah, like I'm over it. See, Marky Mark, I don't think Westbrook should get on over LaShawn McCoy. I don't think so. I think more people love Shady than Westbrook. To be honest with you, I'm just telling you what most people liked more.
I just don't see again. He's going to
be a fucking Hall of Famer too.
When you're talking about how you're the 6th or 7th most liked Eagles since then. I mean, to me, you're not top 10. Not on an overall. At that point, you'd be top 20 because I just think you have to show love to Claude Giroux and the Flyers fan base because whether we're hardcore Flyers or not, Flyers fan base is very loyal and very passionate, and I think that you have to respect that.
Tom, I think you and I are in the same wavelength here.
There's not a planet. Thank you, Marky Mark. Shady is over Westbrook. Yes. There's not a planet where you guys are going to tell me B West over Shady. Philly sports B West great and Shady. Guys, the numbers alone say you're all wrong. You're all wrong. Stop it. Listen, I hate the fact that the guy won't tip. But at the end of the day, he's a better running back. He could do more. But if he's your favorite, I understand that side of it.
Right. Yeah, but I was going to say in that context.
Come on now. Come on. Don't disrespect the guy as much as he might be a crumb. You know what I mean? Respect his abilities.
Tom,
he won 2. He let everybody know this today or yesterday. He won 2 championships. Never played a snap in either game, but he's a 2-time champion now.
Tom, what's your stance on the whole? We have to include the Flyers.
Well, because I mean, listen, when you talk to any Flyers fan, diehards, they're going to love G.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, their votes almost got to count.
Yep.
And even if he's 10th, that's fine. It's fine. If he ends up being 10, and we shift them, then that's fine also. But to me, he's got to be top 10 because he is beloved by a lot of people, and he's also a lightning rod. But I think the majority of Flyers fans love the guy.
So I'll put him. I'll slide. This is what I'll do. I'll put 8, 9.
You're just gonna drop him right to 10.
Yeah, absolutely, I am. Just because I'm triggered right now. So we have to fill 8 and 9.
8 and 9.
And this might be one where we just throw a bunch of names out and pick out too.
Yeah.
Well, do we all agree the pool it has to be unless there's a name I'm forgetting, out of Foles, Hamels, Halliday?
Yes.
Is there anybody else that is fighting for because
I don't think Holiday's fighting for it. You know
I agree. I think he's the third out of that. I agree.
Yeah, I love Halliday, but I don't think he's in top 10.
I would agree. I think,
in my opinion, Graham should be fighting for it.
And Jason Kelsey, I agree. There's
now, what is your case for Ben Simmons?
No.
Oh no.
No. Half the fan base hates him. No.
Half the fan base wanted to trade him a month ago.
They still want to trade him. No, he's not.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite players to watch, but he's not. He belongs nowhere on this list. Not even on the same planet. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, so BG, Kelsey, Foles, Hamels. This is why it's not against the Giroux thing, and Giroux's going to be on this list, but that's why it's tough because it's I think
BG beats out Foles the more I think about it.
Yeah,
He's fucking loved here and still is. Where Foles has that that dynamic to it. The more I think about it, there's that dynamic. If you're thinking about the masses, I think. If you're thinking about the masses, I think there's like people love them, but like it makes you think about all the things the organization did bad, right? BG is like a guy who like wasn't loved at the beginning and turned himself into being loved. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
that's harder to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's even harder to do. Turn himself into a guy that people like love hearing him talk. They love, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think BG people love more than Kelsey, honestly. I think Kelsey's speech puts him up there. I get that. But like I think there's more people that would say they got Brandon Graham jerseys and Jason Kelsey jerseys.
And Jason Kelsey, everyone's like, for anyone who thinks, oh my God, he was never hated. This city was trying to trade or cut Jason Kelsey 2 years before the Super Bowl. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have the perfect track record with this city either. I agree, Tom. If we're debating Kelsey versus Graham, I would say Graham. Because I think it doesn't really matter. I mean, Kelsey's loved and he's a great player, so I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's loved because of the speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Graham's loved because he's a leader in the locker room. He's a voice of the locker room, and because he was freaking awesome. And you talk about that play in the Super Bowl against Brady. Like that, you have a play devoted to Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett, but it's Brandon Graham who started it.
Yeah, no, listen, that strip sack made all the Earl Thomas stuff go away.
Yeah, we do not win that game without that strip sack. No question. If you do not get that, he's going down the field and scoring. Brady.
I think Malcolm's become polarizing now, Don.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I don't think he's not loved. I just think he's become polarizing.
Top 20, probably, but not top 10.
Yes, Trotter's better than Kelsey. Yeah, I agree with that.
I love me some Jeremiah Trotter. It's bad. That's one of the valuable linebacker positions
too.
I have Cole on my list.
He was our ace. He was the ace of that entire era. Yep. He was the ace. Wasn't he the MVP of the World Series too?
Yes. Yes.
Well, let's just extend this. We might as well just add in. We might as well just make this a 15er. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
We might as well. We don't even need to get off our list. We might as well just clean it up and just get everybody on here and everybody can shut the fuck up. And we're talking about, well, you let this guy off, and now it's
you know what's funny? Giroux's gonna keep dropping. I have a feeling Giroux's gonna keep dropping.
No, we're keeping Giroux top 10. We
Giroux's in the top 10.
Yeah, we're doing this so we can keep him 10.
So next.
Oh my God, Jimmy! I got Jimmy. Jimmy, this is the first time, Jimmy. Me and you agree on so many things. I said the other day, like I feel like Jimmy's like my son. You know what I mean? Like I agree. We agree on so many things, me and Jimmy. But wrong,
Jimmy. Look at early McNabb, and again, let's not look at the win-loss record of those NFC Championship games. He almost won them when the defense let them down as much as they didn't do enough. So let's stop with that.
Yeah, Jimmy, come on. You think I'll lie?
Do your homework, Jimmy.
I think I'll lie.
I love you.
That guy was a baller. Go watch his highlights and tell me he can't ball.
So here's the question. Now knowing the top 10, should anybody be shuffled, moved up, moved back?
I think that's a solid. I think that's a solid top 10 as is.
Yeah.
Okay, we all universally agree with the order there, us four?
Yeah, that's fine.
I agree.
Okay. I would agree with that order.
Okay.
That's
So
fine.
I would nominate Nick Foles at 11.
Yeah.
For everything that we said, I think the main thing Tom says all the time. He could leave his kid in Broad Street, and then it's everybody else's kid. Nothing will ever happen to that kid in this city. He'll never buy a drink. He'll never buy a fucking meal in this city. He could probably live here for free, and somebody would give him a house.
And half the fan base still wants him to come back and play starting quarterback in 2021.
Despite the fact that people are split, he is still an icon in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for that, you have to put him 11.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked he fell to 11. I'm shocked by that, but I agree he has to be. I understand how he got to this point.
Exactly.
Don't you start down, Don. Don't you start down there. I see you.
I guess you can make that case.
Ertz over Foles?
Ooh.
No. Foles never gave up on this team.
Nope.
And especially in years with big contract extensions.
Ertz never went into a contract negotiation, spat.
Yeah, I think that's definitely off base.
Also, I think Foles can run more than 2 yards with the ball.
See, that's where you go. That's where you're all offline. You all go too far. This is what I love after the fact, right? Like after the fact, a guy fucking spoils on people. Like who the fuck's he arguing with, guys? These fucking nerds that we sit here and bash every fucking day. So now we're gonna say he quit. A, B, C. Come on. I didn't like the contract stuff before the season, but as this whole thing's played out. Good. I hope you went after Howie Roseman on the fucking field. I hope you got up in his face. You did it for all of us. So I'm not going to forget you having over a fucking 100 catches. I'm not going to forget a Super Bowl winning fucking catch. I'm not going to forget all this and think about the bad stuff at the very end when on a season we won 4 fucking games anyway, when everybody else quit too. Everybody else packed their bags for the year too. Even guys who played at all 16, their bags were packed the entire time. So I'm not gonna ruin a guy's legacy. And I've been critical of Zach Ertz. Yards after catch, them types of things. But I'm not gonna be critical of a guy who was a legit top 3 tight end in the league for a good amount of time, a real good amount of time. I can't do that. You guys all look at y'all. Fucking, we're gonna hammer Zach now. We're gonna hammer Zach. Come on. Because he quit on a fucking shit fucking organization. I quit on him too.
So you're all of a sudden good with that now? You were pissed during the season. You were pissed. You were going nuts.
Look what happened. Look what's transpired through the rest of it.
Still got to show up for work.
Guys, right. An injury isn't quitting. You talk about
what the injury. It's nothing to do with the injury.
Did he sit out, right? Did he sit out?
We were talking every single.
That's the question. Did he sit out?
No, but we were talking. Were we not saying on these airwaves that it was very apparent from day one that he was not finishing routes and that he was going through the motions? That was on these airwaves.
It didn't look like he wanted to be there. I agree with that. I'm not running from that side of it, but that's going to diminish all the good he did when we look back.
No.
That's all I'm saying is that's the argument why he doesn't go above Foles. That's the only reason why I said it.
Also, a fucking I understand that, but a 10 game sample size also doesn't make you more loved than a guy who a lot of people do love though. Like they're not as far off as I think you guys are thinking they are either. I said Foles should be where he is at 11. I'm just saying that Zach Ertz, I think it's you guys hammered him right there, and I'm going to defend him a little bit for his legacy. That's all I'm doing. I'm not defending him for this year. I'm saying that I would have spit in Howie Roseman's face too. But at the end of the day, I thought he air quote quit on this team, but so did a lot. It seems like so did everybody else, right? So like I just look back at it now, right, and can say, you know what? Everybody else looks like they were disengaged from this year too, even the coach.
And guess what? None of those guys will be on this list.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
I'm saying, that's the thing.
I'm not defending any of that shit because I don't like it. But I'll just say this: he did not hold out on this team, which he could have. I'll give him that benefit now after the fact of this clear-headedness and not giving a fuck about the 20.
Why do you? No, I'm not even going into that because that's going to be a whole other thing. Go ahead.
I love Zach Ertz, but in terms of
Shut up! You two triggered me. Both you triggered me.
I didn't say anything.
You both
in terms of this, listen to me. I'll make the argument. I would even make the argument that Chris Long in 2 years is a more beloved Philadelphia sports athlete all around than Zach Ertz.
Ooh.
The fuck out of here.
No.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'll make the argument. Everybody loves him. Like
why?
He's a career guy here.
Because he has a podcast and he's good on Twitter.
But he's still an Eagles guy, and everybody loves him. When in terms of this, I would make, and I don't like short-term stuff.
See, now
I wouldn't say that.
Bryce
but in the overall conversation, I would make that argument. I would make that bet.
Bryce Harper is above Chris Long. Bryce Harper
right,
is above
which
Chris
tells
Long.
me. And that's not an indication of anything in this conversation. I'm saying Zach Ertz, in terms of the overall love, is that far down on the list. I agree with you, Bryce Harper would be higher. But I'm saying in terms of all the way down on the list, Zach Ertz is probably back end of top 20.
Maybe. Okay. It's still top 20.
I disagree. He was probably top 20, but he's like probably we're talking 18, 19, 20.
We're talking about the
right.
Not going to get in the 12 hole, but I'm talking about like you could make an argument for people wanting him to be in their top 15.
Sure.
Because that's all. I'm just saying I don't care if he's not in the top 40. I don't give a rat's ass. Honestly.
I can name a lot of guys that people would put above him.
I got you. Me personally, I don't care. I just didn't like the little attack session, and we're gonna forget all the good the guy did. That's all.
Nobody's forgetting.
You two got a little forgetful, Blue Lagoon. All right, Blue Lagoon got a little forgetful, and so did you.
What did he do again?
What did he do? What?
Just I don't know. What, like 1 good year, 2 good years, maybe.
Yeah, I got to side with Tom on that one.
He was a leader on the Super Bowl team.
And Zach Ertz hasn't been a leader of this football team. Get the fuck! I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna hang up the show now. I mean, what do you guys call? Now he's not a lead. He wasn't a leader through this run of good football. He didn't help you in 2017, 18. Oh my God, he was the only weapon for our fucking quarterback. And in 2019, the only guy left standing. And guess what? Did we forget how tough he was? Did we forget when he came back? When he came back in 2019, and we were all right. We forget. We're so forgetful here. I forgot about it until right there too, and then I had to use it for my.
Listen, you're gonna throw me a fuse. I'm gonna light it up and let you go.
Oh well, light her up.
Yeah, I mean, Chrome, I was right alongside of you. You know what I'm saying? In the trenches, we were going after it, but the Chris Long thing lost me.
I 100% believe that.
I'm happy that you do. I just don't see a planet where that's real. I believe you believe it, but I don't see anywhere anyone else believes that, to be honest.
Absolutely.
A guy who played here for 1 year, and he was a depth defensive lineman, defensive lineman.
Favorites list. We're just talking production. We're talking a favorites list. People who are more loved or universally loved. Yes, I think Chris Long would be loved by
if we're talking universally loved, then I'll put Boban on this list then, because nobody hates him. You know what I'm saying?
If we're not talking, I disagree with that. A lot of people thought he was running around in fucking cinder blocks.
If we're not talking,
by the way, you can put him on this list. It's your favorites. You could have put him 1. I thought you might put him 1.
No, it's not.
You got his damn jersey.
I know it's right there. It's right there.
He'd be 1 until Bielitsa shows up here.
See, very good. And listen, you pronounce the name right. You pronounce his name right. I'm proud of you.
That's my thing. Tom knows that. Tom, and then we'll get Tom a Zach LaVine jersey for his number.
No. Terrence Ross.
Terrence Ross.
I'll start spitting in people's faces. So 12.
12. I'd say it's got to be Doc here. Maybe a little lower, Doc. I mean, Chooch. Chooch is another name.
I think Harper.
You think Harper yet? I mean, I have him top 15, but I look at guys like Chooch and Doc. I don't know he's quite hit that yet.
Just already. It's a love affair times a million.
Yeah.
It's a love affair times a million. And I know he has the benefit of the social media day and age. But, dude, I mean, the guy plays to the fans' heartstrings. I'm not saying that I have him 12. You guys understand that. I'm just saying he plays to the heartstrings of the Phillies faithful. I'm not saying he's deserving of 12. I'm just throwing names out there.
I'm going to go Halladay here.
Yeah, I would agree. I would go Roy at this point.
Frank?
I think
give me Doc. Give me Doc.
I think Roy's fine there. That's fine.
Okay, 13. Like it's gonna get messy now.
Yeah.
Because like all the shoe-ins are gone now. So now it's gonna get
This is where the actual debating starts.
It's gonna be really messy now. The next 13, 14, 15 is gonna get real messy.
Jeez.
And by the way, Giroux could still be moved down if we need to.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna give you my next two. My next two, I would put Chooch and then I would put Bryce.
Joe says Brad Lidge in here.
See, I think Lidge is loved for that 1 year, but you saw how ugly it got after the fact once he started to fall off.
Yeah, it was like 18 months, and then it was like, oh, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
I'm going to say he doesn't belong on this, but I'm just going to throw him in here as an honorable mention. Jamie Moyer. He doesn't belong on here, though.
He doesn't belong on here.
I would put Jamie Moyer in the top 25 at the back end of 25 because I do agree he was very much loved. And he's a local guy. People eat that shit up. But I wouldn't have him anywhere close to the top 15.
Jimmy Claude's not my head. I just don't like the Flyers woe is me mentality.
Then you start throwing in names like Joe Blanton because he hit one home run in the playoffs and people still call his name.
Or Bamboo Brad Miller because of a win streak.
I think Trotter should go 13.
It's a fair name.
I know people in the comments they brought up Fletcher Cox.
Wow, I think he's a lightning rod too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people love him, but I don't think he's universally loved.
Trotter's a really good one.
He was on both times.
Kelsey's still hanging around too, but I think we would all agree Trotter over Kelsey.
I would put Trotter probably,
Yeah.
Personally, I'd have Trotter a lot higher. He's one of my favorite Eagles ever. I love him.
Jeremiah Butler says at this point we could put Kyle Pitts on the list.
Tom, how about Cliff Lee, Tom?
Nope.
I almost brought him up when you referenced 2011 earlier, but I declined.
I like Cliff, but nowhere near my list.
I was going to just say Cliff Lee because I know Tom can't stand him.
All right, where are we at?
14,
we are at 14.
So 13.
13 was Trotter.
I think you go back to baseball here. All right.
You put a guy like Bryce or Chooch on this list.
Where do you go?
That would be my last two. If we're at this point, we're wrapping out the top 15, then I would go. I personally would say Chooch over Bryce, but I mean, I think you could flip him around. It's not going to make a big deal. I just think people have loved Chooch forever. And he's another one of those guys. Most people love Bryce, and I think it's getting stronger as he endears himself more to Philadelphia. But there was, people love the story of Chooch and him coming up and his whole rise to being an all-star and a World Series catcher and this great catcher of these great pitchers. And people have always been obsessed and loved Chooch.
Yeah, I don't know how he cracks his top 15. I love Chooch, but I don't know how he cracks his top 15.
Does Westbrook or Shady reemerge in this discussion?
I don't even think Shady's in that conversation on a favorites list.
Yeah.
And then the same goes for Westbrook?
The thing with Westbrook...
You can put in there, though, it was a big... It's going to trigger. It's going to trigger.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
People fucking love Dwayne Simmons.
Yep.
People love Dwayne Simmons.
It was like a Hall of Fame tour when he left. Those 2 weeks when we knew he was going to get traded after the
I wouldn't disagree with it.
They hung the jersey up. They did a tribute video like that.
Shrine in the locker room.
People were crying. Fans were crying.
I was there the night he came back, his first game back against us with the Devils, and a lot of Wayne Simmons jerseys in that arena.
I can't believe we forgot Lane now in this conversation.
Oh,
I don't think he goes on. I don't think he goes on here.
I don't either. I when I look at Lane and I look at Jason Pierce, very different reasons, but I look at Lane and I think the PED stuff, I think started to hurt a little bit of his legacy, and most people still love him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of knocked a few people off who aren't 100% on board with him anymore. And Jason Peters is one of those cases where guy could have been an absolute icon here, but he's hanging on way too long. And he's souring on people at this point. It's almost like, Ryan, in wrestling, right? You talk about a guy gets shoved down your throat too much.
Baron Corbin.
It's starting to feel that same way with Jason Peters, that
he is the Baron Corbin of Philadelphia. He's the Baron Corbin of Philadelphia.
When is enough enough?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, so you feel like you have to love him and respect him. But at the same time, when is enough enough? When is it okay to say, I don't need to see you anymore, Jason Peters?
It's like
he's hurting his legacy.
It's like the same thing. He doesn't go on here, but I know he is loved. Darren Sproles doesn't
Another
belong
guy.
on here. He's probably a borderline top 20-ish guy.
2025 probably. I'd probably
Yeah,
put him between 20
I
and
mean,
25.
I'm a huge Darren Sproles fan. You know, I've loved this guy since he was Kansas State, my dad's alma mater, Email. But I wouldn't have him in the top 15.
You got a Simone Gagne mentions in the chat.
No. If you were doing another flyer, if you were to consider it, Wayne Simmons is the only other guy to consider.
Or Briere, but it's Simmons.
Yeah, but that's an interesting name. Yeah, Briere, I might think maybe 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Maybe,
No Jacob,
maybe 20
no
to
kickers,
25. But
no kickers, no Akers, no.
No, we can't do Akers.
Carson never soured. He would be probably a top 5 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like I'm looking, this list I keep referencing is from when we did it a couple years ago. Carson was 6 on this list back then.
Think about that. Damn, I don't know who 15 should be. I mean, there's a lot of fair names for it. I mean, I had another good one.
Ryan, you don't even have a 13 in there.
Yeah, 13's missing.
Pardon. 1 second.
So I actually think we have 2 more to go, right?
Yeah,
2 more. Yeah, 14 and 15. Yeah.
Okay.
Marky, Rocky's not real.
Jeff Carter and Mike Richards? No. All right, so let's narrow it down. So who do you think should be in this pecking order? Bryce?
For argument's sake, I would mention Wayne Simmons.
I agree.
Probably won't get in, but he's still loved in this freaking city.
Is there an Eagles representative that should be in this?
I mean, Kelsey's out there, right?
Yeah, Kelsey.
He's out there.
If there's anyone left for the Eagles, I would say Kelsey. Let's look at each team, right? Let's pick one representative from each team and see who's left, right? So probably Bryce for the Phillies.
Yeah.
Well, really, let's be honest. There's not another representative for the Sixers right now. I think that who's on there is on there. So you're probably looking at Bryce, Kelsey, and Simmons.
So we got to fit 2 of them in here, and one's going to get cut.
You know, I think Bryce should be on the list. Maybe I'd put Bryce 14.
I would put Bryce above Simmons, and I would put Bryce above Kelsey. I think it should be Bryce and Kelsey. 14, 15.
I think it should be, Bryce and Kelsey.
Tom?
Just thinking. Yeah, I think it. Or Kelsey, Bryce.
Kelsey does have the championship and the speech.
I would say Kelsey, Bryce.
Kelsey also does have the longevity. Kelsey, Harper.
So even though we're not going to list it, Flyers fans, fear not. I think we would agree that Wayne Simmons would probably be 16 if we had 16.
The only drop in all this, really, the only drop could be number 4, which is number 5 in your hearts. Donovan. That's the only drop that you could put somebody ahead of him and move him, but that's the only one that I see. Not for me, because he's third on my list. Just for the public.
Let's see.
Agreed.
Fourth, yeah, he was third on my list, so four on this list.
Who could we say is the most likely to jump McNabb? Jimmy?
Well, you'd have to go down the list. So
Yeah,
Jimmy.
I would stop at Howard.
I agree.
I think in terms of becoming lightning rods unjustly, I think Howard and McNabb were 1 and 1A.
Mm-hmm.
BG's too high, you guys think? Ryan Anderson thinks BG is high. Jacob says BG number 8. Who would you put ahead of him? Hamels?
I'd put Hamels above him.
Yeah. I think Hamels.
Just because he was our ace in the MVP, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I could make the argument that you could technically slide him back to 11.
BG?
You could.
Hamels, Giroux, Foles. I would put BG.
I would put BG definitely over Doc.
Yes.
I think you could make the argument he could go as far back as 10 or 11 and slide everybody up.
One ring, Pootie Tang. One ring for Embiid.
One parade speech. One parade. Bang.
Yep.
Sal, I love the babe. I love Pat Barrow, but he can't. I know he was loved here for Clydesdales and the women. But you can't. Like, I love Pat Barrow, and he took a lot of heat, and he was number 1 overall pick in the draft, and out of Miami. And listen, well, again, another guy you don't win with without that dude getting on base like he did in 08. All right, don't forget his impact on that baseball team too. So, I mean, there was a lot of guys that you could make the case for out of just that team, but you can't put them all on the list. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So, do you want me to swap Hamels and BG? Like,
I said Shady over Kelsey. I mean, I see a lot of people saying Shady should be on this list or D-Jack should be on this list. I don't know, guys. I don't know. They're better players for sure.
And that's where I think people are mistaken, Tom. I think that's the thing they're putting player-wise and talent-wise. But when you look at loved, can anybody really look in the mirror and say that universally people are over the whole tipping thing and what a D-bag people think that Shady is? Half the people. That you just witnessed how much people were ready to run Deshaun out of town because the second tenure hurt his legacy. And you really sit back and say, yeah, I can overlook that. No, you can't. You can't. You can't cut it in segments and say, well, if we look at the first run for D-Jax, absolutely he's on there. But you can't ignore the second. That's what Tom said. Like Cliff Lee, right? First time here, he's a fucking hero. Comes back. How did that sour his legacy here?
Yeah. Ryan, it was just, I think AI was more influential. I think AI brought more fans that we talk about that are outside of Philly that became Sixers fans because of them. More so than I think Brian Dawkins did for the masses. When we talk about the masses now, right? I think that brought more. I think you got more Sixers fans than you got Eagles fans from Dawkins. I'm not saying Dawkins didn't get you Eagles fans, so don't take that away. But I don't know if you're getting Eagles fans from all over the globe. You know what I mean? That's the only difference. The only difference. I think that's sort of the basis on why you do that with them too. So, the only other one is like McNabb. Is McNabb worthy of 4? Like, to me, he is. But is there somebody there in that top 10 that should jump him?
I'd say I would move him as far back to 6 where Jimmy's at, maybe. Again, I can't put Howard over him.
No. I mean, can you put anybody? I mean, can you put Jimmy over him? I don't know. I mean, Jimmy was.
It's really tough. But again, the fan base had their issues with Jimmy at times too.
You put Cole over him? Can you jump Cole all the way from 8 to 4?
I mean, in fairness, though, people had issues with Jimmy, but people really had issues with Donovan.
Oh, hey, people still
that
don't
have
like
carried
Donovan.
over. That have right, and that's the point. To this day, the same level, if not worse, hatred for Donovan still exists. Jimmy didn't run out some plays, and that obviously didn't endear people a whole lot. But people loved his leadership. People loved the fact that he was the original core guy, and that now when people look at Jimmy, you never hear that talked about. But you still hear about all the negatives of Donovan. You don't hear about how Jimmy didn't run a ball, pop-up at first base anymore.
It's true.
I just look at next level hatred and Donovan. For the people that don't, they'll never let it go. People were able to let go of the shortcomings of Jimmy. I mean, that's why I would make that argument.
You look at all the times where T.O. tweets about him throwing up in the huddle. How many friggin' that goes friggin' viral every time he talks about it. People still love that. You know what I'm saying?
And this is my fear now, is for no fault of his own, Carson Wentz is going to be a villain in this city forever. Doesn't matter what he does. Didn't matter how much he endeared himself here. Didn't matter how much he did stuff in the community. You know, he's going to be one of those guys. And it's always seems to be Philadelphia Eagles players that when something negative in their eyes is on the field, they will never let it go. We can let things go with Phillies, with Sixers. You know, people have let go a lot of really shitty things that happened with Allen Iverson personally off the court. People have let that go. They have never forgiven Donovan McNabb. Never forgiven him. And Carson Wentz is going to be the exact same. And it's a shame because neither of them deserve it. But that's my argument for putting Jimmy over.
Yeah, I think Jimmy goes over him. I think McNabb can. Oh goodness, I think.
And that's I think the one guy
could honestly put Donovan 10 on this list. I know that's crazy to say because I think that's that split. If you're doing a top 15, I think you're going to get a split. So maybe not even there. Maybe 8 somewhere. You know, if you want to split it, because half are going to really love him and half are going to hate him. I don't know. I'm just giving devil's advocate to everything.
Yeah.
Where I had Donovan at. So
I would have him at 3 too, but I don't disagree with you, Tom. You could slide him down. You know, he's one of those guys. People aren't going to be happy.
Sorry, Jimmy's now going rogue. Carson Wentz is top 10 on my list. No Super Bowl without him. I can't do that. I can't. Jimmy, I love Carson. I can't do that. He's not top 10 favorite.
Jimmy, we're not talking about on-field talent either. We're talking about favorites. You just watched what happened in this city over the last season, or really since 2017, right? Come on, Jimmy, you're better than that. Can't ignore that when you're talking about favorite athletes in the city.
Can't do it with that. Can't do it with that one.
All right, so how does this look right here?
I mean, hell, he was arguably number 1 up until that Rams game.
Yeah, now people hate him. Joe, I like Hugh Douglas, but he's not on the list.
He's another guy too, Hugh. I like Hugh, but in his commentary gig, I think has hurt a little bit of his legacy too, because he's a polarizing figure in terms of his commentary.
Yeah, he is.
People either love him or hate him.
Jimmy, it's fair. That's your guy, bro. That's your guy, brother. You know what I mean? Like, it's favorite. It's not, you know.
I would put Carson high. I'd have Carson at least in my top 15.
If you're still here.
I mean, even now, I still would even now.
No, he's playing in the league next year for somebody else. No.
I agree.
No. Y'all need to wake up. Now we're a bunch of ex-girlfriends out here. Let's all lock in. Love the guy. Appreciate you. You're no longer here. And as much as the organization's a train wreck, I don't know if you did yourself any fucking favors.
We can reflect on him once his career is over. We can look back on him.
Yeah. Right now,
He is the enemy now. He's you know what he is, Chrome? Chrome, he's vacant. He's vacant player that we're paying $35 million to play for another team.
He has become we haven't used that reference in a while. He's become vacant player.
Yeah. Now the last one I got for you is maybe the last shakeup.
Oh no.
I'm looking back. I'm just looking back.
Okay.
Is now, as much as we love him, is Joel too high?
Personally, I don't believe he should be above the ace on a World Series winning team.
Yeah,
yet.
But is this whole thing going to be Phillies World Series team?
That's the problem.
Well, that's my list. So this is that I'm very like I said, a huge my entire top 5 except for Iverson is Phillies.
Ryan, I get you. That's the first championship I had in my life. So So outside of AI and Doc, it's Philly heavy for me too. And there's other guys I love, but it's all them guys that we talked about. Them 4 guys are in my top 10. It's just do I put them above? Do I put them all above? In like a one run through. You know what I mean?
Like if I'm looking at a top 10, right? I think every team should be represented, and then beyond that, you knew it was going to be heavy Eagles and heavy Phillies, right? And you could make the argument that as happy as this city was for the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Phillies in 2008 might be the most beloved championship team in the city. And when you look at it, and guys, I mean, it's weird to have a run of guys from the same team, but at the same time, there's a lot of really likable guys on that 2008 World Series team.
Yeah,
guys that
there is,
and the other argument too, Tom, and this is where the Eagles don't have the benefit. It might be a different conversation, say 6-7 years from now. You can look at their legacy in terms of the Phillies 13 years later and say these guys are still loved, the same level or more. You don't have that legacy with the Eagles right now. Like you said, we can't mention Carson Wentz because he's playing for another team. People are going to hate him more now, and I don't think it would change for him, but, there could be guys. We love Fletcher Cox, right? We mentioned him. He could be a guy that for some one reason or another is not loved by this city for, maybe says something stupid down the road. That's the benefit of those Phillies teams. It's 13 years later, you could say.
5 years from now, Fletcher Cox will be loved.
I agree with you. I was just using that as an example.
No. Yeah. I'm using an example to say that you're right, though, in terms of like when things settle down, sometimes guys get more loved and more respected as time goes on, right?
It's a longer love affair.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of winning. So when you talk about 08 and it's our first championship for a lot of us in our lifetime, all right, it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. And them guys jumped a lot of Eagles guys because of that. Because they were winning, but not winning, right? Like the Phillies, like it was 07 playoffs, right? And then boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Boom, back-to-back World Series. So it was just like, and they got over that hump. And there were young players, and there was bravado, and I think he's. But like, how grateful is this fan base right this minute, though, for a guy like Joel Embiid?
I mean, I don't know.
I think extremely grateful, but
we're not watching basketball or have anything to talk about without Joel Embiid.
I don't disagree with you, but I think when you're talking about that level of grateful, I don't think you're going to hit that until he wins a chip.
See, I disagree because I watch 8-win teams. You know what I mean? So
I had season tickets for him. I get it.
Listen, you're gonna be the guy who slides your ticket stubs across the table to me that sell me on you went. I know you. I know you like to dabble in events, but that doesn't. I know you did. But so we should be grateful. We should be grateful. You're ungrateful because you got to pay more money to go to the game now. But in reality, that's why you're ungrateful right now because you got to pay more money to go down to the event. You're not grateful.
I am extremely grateful to watch great Sixers basketball.
That's my point, though, in the moment right now. Because if you take him out of like that favorite and you jump Cole over him, just to play devil's advocate to both sides, right? How much of a favorite we watch him? We do live reactions to him, guys, all the time. And like in the moment, it's harder, right? In the moment, it's harder. So I don't know.
Yeah, but
this guy cried over a loss. This guy cried over an elimination. He was all.
I hear you.
He was all.
Right. A lot of us loved it. We also had the people who made fun of him. Yeah, the people who less than a year ago were demanding that this guy be the one that get traded and build it around Ben.
4 months ago. 4 months ago.
Wasn't that? Yeah, I mean,
I can't. Fall. Yeah.
But not enough.
What it is right now is next level, but I can't.
You remember what
reward a 4 month
Hamill stuff? No, you don't remember the Cole Hamill stuff? Like, I think we got to put everything on the table, though.
People still want Cole Hamels to come back to the city.
Fine. There's always idiots. There's idiots that will make the
majority of the fan base would take him back right now.
No, they want it, and majority of the fan base has a clue, and the other majority, the other idiots would. The idiots would want him back, just like the idiots would say that they wanted to trade Joel Embiid 4 months ago. Only idiots talk like that. So the fact of the matter is, I'm not taking anything away from Cole, but the year after we won the World Series and he struggled, okay, early on in that entire year, you don't remember?
Yeah, but you're talking about 1 year compared to.
Remember what he said?
People talking about the injuries and all that stuff that, couldn't stay on the court, the minutes restrictions, he's out of shape. And then last year we need to trade him. I mean, really the love affair for him has been a mixed bag until this year.
Did he ever say a for who, for what, essentially? Because that's what Cole Hamill said. I love Cole, but that's what he said. Like
nobody brings it up.
Well, I know nobody brings it up because it's after the fact. It's way after the fact, right? We're talking after the World Series that happened and that was said, and people were fired up about it. Now we're never going to talk about it because it's so long ago. You know what I mean? That's the difference. So guys can get more love as time goes on. But I hear what you're saying about Joe. I'm just giving, I'm trying to give arguments for all these guys in different spots or not, and I don't know. We go on for forever. That's the problem.
I personally would probably swap Hamels and Embiid, and then I would leave the list as is.
Same. Once those are swapped, I think it's done to me.
Swap who? Hamels and Embiid?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's still 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's correct. I mean, that's for a guy who's still playing.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate you, John. He has Embiid, B-Doc, Utley, AI, McNabb, and he's going to pencil in Patrick Surtain at 6. Well done.
Oh, boy.
Whatever, John. I like it.
Or maybe Justin Fields. We'll see.
Shut the fuck up, Crow.
Or Kyle Pitts.
It could be. I'm riding this Fields thing until the very end. I don't give a shit what they tell us about Laurie because I feel like every week they tell us something else. They don't know what the hell he's doing, and it wouldn't shock me still if they take a quarterback just because it's the least thing we would expect them to do. I'm riding the Justin Fields thing until the very end. I hope it doesn't happen. Wouldn't shock me.
And I am going to call it a night. I bid everybody adios.
See you, Frank.
I will see you guys next week as we celebrate the brand new league year.
See you, Frank.
Playing. See you, brother.
Yeah, so I know.
Go ahead, Ryan. Read off that list there.
We went rogue. So you got Iverson, Dawkins, Utley, Jimmy, Howard, Hamels, Embiid, McNabb, Brandon Graham. Round out your top 10. Then Drew, Foles, Doc, Trotter, Kelsey, Harper.
I think it's a solid list as is.
I do too. I think it's a very good list. The only one that's like that sketchy one will always be Donovan to people. It will trigger people. I mean, that's the funniest thing about it. That one will always trigger people, but I think he's right where he should be. If you count the common sense.
I think if you're appeasing all parties, because again, there's people like us, Tom, who would have him up at 3. What did you have, Matt Ryan?
Which player are we talking about? Sorry.
McNabb?
I had him 5.
Okay, so you had him pretty high.
6. No, I'm sorry. I had him 6 because I had all Phillies and then Iverson.
Yeah, still pretty high.
Yeah.
Then you would have people who would say 15 to 20. To appease, I think where he's at is right spot on.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question from Ryan Anderson. If the Phillies win the World Series this year, who jumps in top 15 with Bryce? JT.
Or Nola. You know what
Depending on the year he has, Wheeler could be a guy who I could see do that as well.
Kutch, possibly.
Oh God, I listen. I mean, I'm a McCutcheon guy. I'd love
Herrera? Just kidding.
I'm gonna throw one out there that I think could be, and he's got the personality for it, and a guy who people would look back and say that was a key piece. Archie Bradley.
Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley. Arch
folk hero-ish type personality. I agree.
Right.
I agree.
He's not going to have the body career that JT or any of them.
You know what he will be? He'd be like the Chris Long of the Phillies, Chrome.
That or look, a Kelsey type of guy. Not necessarily
up there. I agree, Tom.
If he has a good year too.
Yeah.
He's young, I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, if Reese has a monster year and they won it all, no, if he has a monster year and they win it all, dude, it becomes a love affair. It becomes all the rest. We're like, does it matter? I'm just telling you how it goes. Like love affairs. We were the same way when we went into 07 with the Phillies. We were the same way. We were like,
Even the most polarizing. Like I think we would all agree, a guy like Segura's pretty polarizing. I think it's kind of split as far as people really like him and people don't like him. If they won a championship, all those guys that are polarizing become loved just because of association with a title. You know what I mean?
I think Didi's a guy people would love.
Didi's in the same category as McCutchen for me, to where like those two arrived and they were universally loved.
Yeah, I think Noel, because he's been here for a minute, I think he definitely jumps in the top 15.
Yeah,
sure.
Can I say this unrelated? But when I look at McCutchen and I look at Didi, right, those kind of guys. And taking Harper out, maybe even more so McCutchen than Didi. I look at those guys as guys who, whether they win or not, if this team can consistently be good going forward over the next whatever handful of years, the way that people love J.J. Redick is the way that I think people will look at Andrew McCutchen, because he was such a – I know he's at the twilight end of it, but he is a big name, well-liked guy around the league. Very similar to J.J. Redick, who said, okay, I'm a free agent. I'm going to go sign in Philadelphia. And he's the type of guy that other guys wanted to come and play with.
I'll give you one better. Right? You said J.J. in terms of comparing him to – repeat that again. Repeat that again.
In terms of, being like a free agent guy coming to a team that loses and kind of starting to draw a little attention, and other guys want to go there and play, and showing – like a free agent who goes somewhere and says, okay, I think this team is close.
I would say Jim Thome. I would say
Thome is the first. You're right. He's probably the first guy in terms of setting that culture that you would think, at least in the 2000s anyway, for sure.
Yeah, like changed it a little bit. Made you watch Phillies baseball again, sort of
they were bad before him. You're right. Absolutely.
He was there. Like Rollins was playing with him. So it's not like guys weren't a part with him too, right? So, Howard came and took his job essentially, right? But Jimmy was there. I think Chase played with him. So, I mean, them guys played together for a minute.
The name I would bring up, not his favorite because he was too polarizing of a figure. I always loved him. But as far as you talk about like importance to the Phillies in the early 2000s, a guy like Bobby Abreu.
Yeah, but he was polarizing big time. But if they won something,
yeah.
But you're right with the terms of like segueing in. Just people didn't really respect Bobby enough.
No, because they were worried about the hustle and all that stuff. But as far as like the faces of that regime before, obviously the Utleys, the Howards, it was guys like Thome, Abreu, etc. Guys like that.
Can I say this about Bobby Abreu?
Victorino's loved. Jimmy Butler top 15 if he was here still.
I wish I had it still, Tom. If I could find it, I'll send it to you. Somebody had sent me a thing like 2 years ago, and it was no names attached to them, just statistics. First 8 or 9 years of one career, first 8 or 9 years of the other. Who are these guys? And I'm telling you, player A had better numbers than player B, and it was Bobby Abreu compared to Mike Trout. Bobby Abreu is such an underrated player when you look at the numbers, and they carry themselves very differently. But it's crazy. It's not crazy when people have, and not many, but people have made the case that Bobby Abreu has borderline Hall of Fame numbers in his prime.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he is, but man, when you really look at his numbers, he's one of those guys, by the way, in that list of underappreciated guys in Philadelphia. He's a top 5 guy.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's underappreciated for his numbers for sure. For his numbers, he got hit for lack of hustle, things like that. Look like a lollygag. They're the stupid shit.
Like you just add that type of a player onto like a roster like we have now. You know what I'm saying? Like you just put him as a player,
difference maker,
and you just copy and paste him onto a team. It's he's a game changer.
Yeah. All right, boys. That was fun though.
Yep.
You know, most hated list was
good time.
All that shit's fun. So good times. Good times.
Little change of pace, not having to talk about Howie and Mr. Laurie and all that.
Any of that nonsense. So
yeah.
We want to thank
we haven't had a show like that in a while, boys. That was nice.
Yeah, it's something different. The Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox, we want to thank them for sponsoring Wednesday night show. And we know many of us and our families deal with mental health and addiction issues. We're happy to support the Counseling Center and Sunrise Detox. If you need any help, please call 856-651-8117. It's our guy Rob Lutman. All right, and it'll get you guys all taken care of, right? Whatever you guys need in terms of counseling, or if you need, you have addiction issues and you need Sunrise Detox, listen, call out for help. All right. At this point, don't be embarrassed to call out for help. Today's the day, right? I always say that to yourself. Today's the day you're going to get it. Come on. All right. And listen, other great stuff we got going on here is bodycheckwellness.com, and you can use promo code A2D for 20% off. And they promote wellness, balance, recovery, full potential of hemp. So it's great. THC-free products. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. CBD oils, clarity and focus, endurance and energy. Tons of great stuff. Riley Cote always joins the boys on the Hockey Happy Hour. We're going to start have Todd Harriman's on here, either on Thursdays or Sundays. We'll figure that out. We'll find out what works best for Todd. And so we're excited to keep moving forward and doing big things. And hopefully whenever Manscaped emails back, we'll have a promo code for you guys there as well. So a lot of other things I can talk about, but I'm not going to because I'm not in the business of jinxing shit. For Tom Arnone, Ryan Brodo, Michael Chromiak, Frank Vespi, no Ralph Del Vecchio, no Greg Wagvik, no Nate Moss. So for the ones who missed, for the bench players who sat out tonight, we love you too. To the family who chimed in, we can't thank you enough. Ton of fun tonight. I need some sleep. We out.